stop, Dave. I'm afraid.
Why don't you play us something, baby? Why don't you play us something? Why don't you play us something, baby?
Start? I don't feel so good.
It's fucking molten!
Dude, you know what I hate?
What's that?
I hate when you're walking down the street or you're driving down the street and you look over and you see some piece of shit fuckface and he's got his rollerblades on and he's crouched down, clutching his knees, going as slow as he possibly can. If you're not going to rip on rollerblades, don't fucking wear them.
Oh, they're very dangerous, though.
Don't
you do have to remember that they are very, very dangerous.
If you're not willing to die, don't wear them.
They are very dangerous. But you know what I have been seeing a lot of? Homeless people wearing masks.
Yeah,
I
they
don't know
got them.
where did they get them from?
Well, I mean, they're not that
Hortons?
much. Yeah, I think like A&W is giving them away. That actually is true. A&W is giving away masks, but they're bad ones. Are they wearing shitty masks or like good ones?
Just like regular medical ones.
Oh, then yeah, those are shitty ones. Probably.
No, they're good. They're better than those fucking hipsters wearing cloth masks.
Yeah, is it better?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist. so I
Doctors
don't know.
wear them.
Yeah, the regular ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got both. I've got both.
Fucking hipsters in their cloth masks. That does nothing.
Got a few of them. Got lots of them actually.
Wow.
Our prime minister likes them, dude. He sure likes them. He sews them himself.
I don't know who that is.
Hey,
Welcome to the podcast. It's me, Podcast Bot.
Hey, podcast 5,000.
Why are you saying my full name?
Are
you my mom?
Because you're
telling me to go to my room?
podcast bought 5,000, dude. I'm gonna throw your middle name in there. I'm gonna gov you.
No, please don't gov me.
Podcast apt pupil bought to 5,000.
Damn, you knew which Bryan Singer movie I was created during.
It was apt pupil. We all know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, were you in the shower scene in the movie Apt Pupil? The one
I wasn't in the filmed version of it.
the recreation, dude.
I was in the original version of it that inspired the scene. Yeah.
That was just a reenactment.
Well, today on the show we've got a jam-packed episode. It's still quarantine, so we're still watching
not theater movies,
but that's fine.
Don't worry, we're coming back with theater movies when Tenet comes out.
We'll see.
Because Christopher Nolan, I saw an interview with him where he's like, "Yeah, I'm releasing in July, and I'm putting it in theaters."
He's like, "I need money, really, man."
He's like, "Look, guys, here's what's happening. It's coming out in July in theaters. That or nothing."
Well, we've got some fresh Spike Lee, a joint even, maybe. Possibly a joint.
Is it a Spike Lee joint?
Possibly could be that.
What film is it?
The Five Bloods, baby.
Is it The Five Bloods or Duh Five Bloods?
I said duh.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure you said duh.
Well, we also have another movie called The Twilight Zone The Movie.
Ooh, is it George Miller month?
Guess it is.
Apparently, it's also John Landis month.
And Steven Spielberg. And Joe Dante.
And Joe Dante month.
Powerful John Landis killed a bunch of kids. Anyway, we got some Disney Plus for your ass.
Yeah, what's Disney Plus? They don't make movies.
Apparently they do.
Oh, shit. What is it?
Artemis Fowl, based on the classic book series.
Oh, no. Could you possibly be referencing a Kenneth Branagh movie?
Oh, is Kenneth Branagh involved in this?
Oh, that sounds like bad news. That sounds like bad news. What else are we talking about?
Well, Judd Apatow's back on the scene. He's got a movie that he released. It's like 5 hours long or some shit called The King of Staten Island.
I feel like I haven't seen a Judd Apatow. I feel like Judd Apatow hasn't made a movie in a decade. When was the last time? Oh, no, he made Trainwreck, right? Which we famously reviewed on this show. It's fine. That's fine.
Not great.
Not the best, for sure.
No, it's not super good.
He's done better, but he's also done worse.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah, we'll talk about Judd Apatow. I'll throw some shade
see
at
you guys
Judd.
later.
Oh, bye, Podcast Bot 5,000. You want to jump into the Five Bloods, Buck?
He jumped out the window. I don't know.
What the fuck? Is he okay?
I guess he had a
You know what?
parachute.
Don't check.
I think
Don't
he had a
check.
parachute. It's fine.
No, don't check. I don't care if he's okay. Let's talk about Spike Lee. So here's the thing: is that I've been pretty pissed about 2020. If you go and look at my 2020 ranked on Letterboxd, not a lot of good stuff on there, guys. In fact, almost all bad stuff. It's almost all bad. That's what's so crazy about 2020. And so when I heard Spike Lee was making a movie, I was like, oh, thank God, it's probably going to be good.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, he's got a few that are okay. But here's the thing about Da Five Bloods. It's real fucking good.
Here's the thing about Spike Lee, and something we always know about Spike Lee, is that man is good at making movies.
Yeah, he sure as hell is good
And
at making
especially
movies.
with everything going around in the world right now. This is pretty much his wheelhouse.
Yeah, and
baby boo.
you know what's crazy about this is that this is like a movie that is heavily influenced by the Black Lives Matter movement.
Kind of.
But the Black Lives Matter movement got so much bigger in the past month.
I was wondering if he like just edited that one.
Yeah,
scene
I
in.
wonder if maybe they did like the scene where they have the Black Lives Matter rally. Like I do also wonder if maybe that was inserted. But I don't know. It was like 2 weeks before release, and I bet you Netflix was like, holy fuck, are we ever happy we got this son of a bitch
Yeah, it's
to
a
roll
good thing
out?
we got ourselves a Spike.
Well,
on
and
deck.
the release date for this movie was set in stone months ago, so it's not even like they're trying to cash in on the Black Lives Matter movement. It just happened to be.
Yeah.
Just happened to be. So Netflix was really lucky on that one. What Da 5 Bloods is actually about, because, of course, with any Spike Lee movie, no matter what it's about black equality and equal rights. That's what it's always going to be about, and that's absolutely what this movie. There's a lot of unsubtle themes.
That's classic Spike Lee, but I think what's kind of newer for Spike Lee is that he's so anti-establishment now.
Yeah, and he hates Trump, dude. He makes sure you know, dude. He hates Trump. Good, as he should. So to 5 Bloods, let's talk about what this movie is actually about, like the actual narrative of this film, because not only is like the content powerful, but the narrative is also like super fucking interesting. So what this movie is about is you have these 5 African-American Vietnam vets. One of them died in the Vietnam War, and the other 4 come back to find his body because, conveniently, his body was buried right next to a giant chest full of gold bars.
Yeah, gold bars.
Al Gore.
Al Gore, gold bars.
I wrote that down, actually. Gold
you?
bars, yeah.
Gold bars.
Gold bars. But what's interesting about this movie is that and this is why I like Spike Lee, is that he's not interested in being blunt about like his narrative at all.
Sure.
Which, like, who cares, right? Like, who cares as long as the narrative is there? Because for the first 30 minutes of this movie, they don't fucking tell you what it's about, because they're all meeting up after they've discussed this. So why the fuck would any of them have to talk about like it at all? Like, they made the plan already before the movie starts. They made sure that they made sure that the characters understood the narrative, but you don't get to yet. And then that made it all the more interesting. Spike Lee's also fucking insane. I want to remind everybody that Spike Lee is fucking insane, because this is one of those movies that's half shot digital, half shot on film. Crazy.
Kind of, but like it has like a point. Kind of, though.
Yeah, well, anything that's shot on film is the Vietnam War, and everything that's shot on digital.
Well, not even exactly, though, because it's like one of the characters has a film camera with him, and sometimes it's just shots of what he filmed.
Oh, yeah, that's also true.
But yeah, but like all of the stuff where they're in the war, it's shot on film, and I do like that they all the main characters, actors, are the same age they are after the war, but Chadwick Boseman's the same age because that's the age they remember him.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's actually something I was gonna mention.
Because I think generally when people do like flashback stuff like that, they always put like different actors in and stuff. But
Yeah.
I like the idea of that just because
It's a memory.
Right,
More,
right.
It's a memory more than it is like an actual like
flash
perspective.
Yeah, because it's like the only time they ever go to those is when they're telling someone about their experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that Spike Lee doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, this is what I like about Spike Lee. He actually doesn't care if you like this movie. Because you know who likes this movie?
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee likes this movie.
That's like, I remember when like a couple years ago when Crooklyn turned 20 or whatever, he's like, I just watched the first 50 minutes of Crooklyn, still one of the best movies ever made.
And I don't even like Crooklyn that much, but you know what? Spike Lee does.
Yeah,
and that's
he loves
all,
that shit. He loves that shit.
That's all that really matters, is that Spike Lee likes Crooklyn. And Spike Lee likes Da 5 Bloods, clearly.
Yeah.
This movie is also, like, it gets fucking crazy. Because it's 2.5 hours, and let me tell you, didn't feel it. Didn't feel it for a second.
It actually does go by pretty fast. I do think maybe it's a little long, but it's not excessively long, I don't think.
I think you could slice off 10 minutes at the beginning. Other than that, there's nothing I would change. I think it's like, I think if this was 2:20, it would be a little better, but it's 2:30, and it's like that extra 10 minutes is whatever. There's There's a couple of plots in this movie that I feel like are jammed in just because Spike Lee's like, well, we got to make this like a movie that people are going to want to watch. So throw in 2 romance plots that like actual people won't give a shit about, but general audiences will.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of romance plots. Like there's Otis and the former Vietnamese prostitute that he had impregnated when he was in Vietnam, when he was serving, when he was on tour. And so that plot I could do without.
I mean, it's not really that much of the movie, though.
Yeah. So let's go through all the characters because, man, this movie. The thing about this movie is that it doesn't balance its characters, but I also don't believe it's trying to. You have these 5 main characters who are Norm, who dies like right at the beginning. That's not spoilers. That's just what the movie's about. He dies in the Vietnam War. But then you have his 4 buddies who are named Otis, and Otis is sort of like a level head for the group, and sort of becomes the leader once Norm is dead.
Right.
Then you have Paul.
Yeah,
and Paul is the best character in this movie because he's a fucking wild card, dude.
he's got that MAGA hat.
Yeah, he's wearing a Make America Great Again hat, and everybody's talking about how terrible it is and how awful it is. Then you got Eddie, and Eddie is sort of like a rich prick kind of guy. Like he went on to become incredibly rich after the Vietnam War. And then there's Melvin, and Melvin's the funny guy.
Hell yeah.
Melvin's the funny guy. He gets super drunk at a bar and tries to grab girls by the pussy. Like, he's a funny guy.
Yeah, that sounds funny. I'm laughing it up over here.
Yeah. But then, the big plot with this movie is that Paul, the character of Paul, who is, by the way, incredibly huge, like the most giant man. He's really like big, 6'10". He has dealt with such terrible PTSD that he has not lived a very good life. So his son David, who is very concerned with him, joins them.
Delroy Lindo.
Yeah, Delroy Lindo, who's awesome.
Big man.
Huge.
Man.
What is his height? 6'10"?
I don't know, but it's a lot. I don't know, but it's a lot.
It's definitely more than 6.5 feet. That's all I know. But then his son David joins them on the journey.
Yeah, and David's played by Jonathan Majors, which is like my favorite guy from last year in The Last Black Man from San Francisco, and he's so fucking good in that movie.
Which I never saw.
And I'm like, this guy's gonna be huge, and here he fucking is. I guess Spike Lee was watching Last Black Man in San Francisco. You know who else was watching? Motherfucking Jordan Peele, because he's a star of that Lovecraft County show.
Oh, really?
That Jordan Peele's producing. So
here's the thing, though. If there's a movie called Last Black Man in San Francisco, Spike Lee's seeing it.
Spike Lee has definitely seen that film.
Spike Lee is seeing it. This movie does do a thing that Spike Lee does quite often that I don't like, and that's that he's maybe a bit too blunt about his political affiliations to the point where he just shows.
I think some people just don't get it unless you're that fucking blunt about it.
He just shows Donald Trump saying some weird stuff about black people. Just straight up shows an actual clip of Donald Trump saying weird stuff about black people.
Yeah.
Which is funny. Like, it's funny, and I get why it's a joke, but it does feel like it's just like him being like, I got to make sure that everybody knows that as a black man, I hate Donald Trump. I know that. I would assume that because Donald Trump is fucking super racist and a terrible person. Piece of shit, dude.
Yeah,
so
super racist.
Yeah. That being said, I mean, like, obviously this movie was pretty much cut and print and ready to go before, Donald Trump said that he wanted to shoot every black person in the streets. But, like, it was pretty much cut and ready to go. But it's still, like, to a point where it's like, if you're an African-American living in America, I will assume that you don't like Trump because he hates you. He doesn't like you. What I do like about this movie is that I love the title, that it's called The Five Bloods and not The Five Bloods.
Why is that funny?
It's just really wacky to me because he also inserts it into the movie. Like, there's a scene where they're showing off Neil Armstrong on the moon, and it says "Da Moon." I thought that was pretty good.
What I thought was interesting about this, I think we've talked about this before, but there's like a whole subgenre of old man singing and dancing movies.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of social commentary in this one for an old man dancing movie, which at its core, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, it's not
for most of the movie.
It's not that much different than like Las Vegas. Or like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It just competently made.
Las Vegas, but it's in a fucking forest, and they're stepping on mines all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, essentially what this, like as they're going into the jungles of Vietnam, I don't want to give too much away with this movie because I do think that it's an awesome watch. Like, it's definitely an awesome watch, and I would almost say an important watch because like the first
one thing about this that I've noticed, like I've seen every Vietnam movie basically.
Yeah.
every single
all of
one.
them.
Deer Hunter, fucking Apocalypse Now. I've seen them
Everything
all.
that CCR did scores for.
Yeah, everything that they did, and this one treats Vietnam differently. This one treats Vietnam like it's
A place?
like a real place.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it treats the people like they're real people. And I think the difference between that is it's not John Miliitis fucking writing the script about his hardships of not being in the war. You know, fucking John Miliitis, that fucking guy that wrote Apocalypse Now, and is
Which they make fun of in this movie.
yeah, and I just think I think it takes a different take on it, and that's probably just because Spike Lee made it. But I don't understand why no other Vietnam movie has represented Vietnam like this before.
Yeah, you know what I do? You know what else I really respect about this movie is that at one point one of the characters, I believe Eddie, references the movie Do the Right Thing. Which means that in this universe, in this movie directed by Spike Lee is also a director, and he's also still respected.
He's a popular director that still made Do the Right Thing.
And he always will be. He always will be. I do love also like just how like I don't want to say subtle because that's definitely not the right word, but I do love how intricate like the transitions and smooth the transitions are between like your 16:9 shots,
archival footage.
Yeah, and the 4:3 shots and the archival footage.
Yeah, it's pretty much seamless. Like it's a beautifully edited film.
Yeah, like this movie is
and you can
great.
tell
And
just by looking at the poster, like it's like a piece of art. Like this fucking thing is nice to look at.
Yeah, cinematography is also fucking fantastic. A lot of lush green in this bad boy. It's a really great looking movie. That might be just because it takes place in the jungles of Vietnam, which are interesting looking. But like, I genuinely think that there is somebody behind a computer or somebody behind a camera making it look that fucking good. Gene Reno's in this movie.
Yeah, he's looking fucked up.
What
He's been
the
drinking a lot
fuck?
of wines. Hey, he's
Dude,
been drinking a lot of
What
wines.
the fuck happened to Gene Reno?
He looks like he's melting.
Dude, why are there two Gene Renos walking around in one Gene Reno body? Did he eat a person before making this movie? He's gained 300 pounds.
I think he probably drinks like 30 wines an hour.
Yeah, he's definitely a wino, dude. He's definitely going. That being said, as always in a movie, I think Gene Reno also just fucking rips in this one. Gene Reno is good.
Yeah.
I always forget that. Then I see him and I'm like, right,
well,
he's good.
he's like super popular French actor, but like when he does do crossover shit, like he is great in it.
The Da Vinci Code, one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, Da Vinci Code.
A
Sure.
legendary film that deserves a legendary rating of a 5-star. The Da Vinci Code. What was that? What was that? Good Cop, Bond Cop that he was in, or was that French? I feel like
no, he was not in Good Cop, Bond Cop.
Was he not in Good Cop, Bond Cop?
No, those are French Canadians, dude.
I thought that was him for some reason. It's also weird in this movie that you have all these level-headed characters, but then you also have a pro-Trump African-American character, which, like, I think if this movie was written in June of 2020, they might not have put that in there, but it is in there. But it is, like, it's very funny to me that they use a guy who's pro-Trump to illustrate that he's fucking crazy, that he's kind of an idiot. And this movie ultimately, like, a lot of this movie is basically Spike Lee saying, propaganda sucks, guys. Like, he's just making fun of propaganda this entire movie, whether it be Vietnamese propaganda, American propaganda, which exists and is maybe more rampant than it ever has been. And it's basically him just being like, guys, that's really dumb. Stop paying attention to fucking propaganda. Oh, man. I love the scene where the guy's like, we need to kill some crackers. That was my favorite scene of the movie.
Yeah, you like that, hey?
Yeah, I was like, hell yeah, let's kill some crackers.
Wow. Okay.
But essentially what ends up happening is like the movie does escalate because they find the gold and they find the remains of Norman.
That's like an hour in.
Yeah,
I wrote that down. That's like an hour in.
It's like it almost feels like the movie's like over and you're like, what? How could there be an hour and a half more of this? Don't worry. pretty fucking easily there could be an hour and a half more of this, because this movie becomes exactly what you would kind of expect it to be when you have dudes walking around with $17 million worth of gold bars. It does become a struggle to figure out what to do with that money, how to split up that money, like who's going to get cuts, who's not going to get cuts, and ultimately there's a lot of violence.
If you see Gene Reno as the guy they're trying to make a deal with, you're like, that's probably not going to go too good.
Yeah,
because it's fucking Gene Reno, and he never plays a good guy.
It's fucking Gene Reno, dude. He made that deal after chugging 40 bottles of wine with that alcohol head, dude. Chugging that vino.
Leon, the professional.
Should be named Gene Vino, am I right?
Vino, the professional.
Yeah.
He's a professional, all right, drinking vino.
But, like, while I think a lot of these characters are very similar, it's like Spike Lee is like, I want a movie with 5 Danny Glovers. While they're very similar, they all have their own very specific quirks that make it. That being said, it really is about Paul and Otis. This
but I think that comes with the territory of having like 5 older black gentlemen that served in Vietnam.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple that don't really do anything.
Age group, like they're going to be similar guys. Like if you grow up in a generation with someone, you become a similar guy to those people usually.
Yeah. There's also some there's some action sequences in this movie, and Spike Lee is not shy to show off what this shit actually looks like.
That's true.
I don't want to give too much away because the scene I'm talking about is fucking amazing, but it's shocking to look at, and it's I'll explain this to you later. But I actually knew somebody who had seen somebody in a situation like that, and they were like, yeah, it looks pretty much exactly
close.
Exactly like that.
Well, to me, this movie is kind of like a culmination of some of his other movies. Like, remember that World War II movie he made, like the Miracle on Saint Anna or whatever?
I've never seen that. I've never seen it.
It's kind of like a culmination of that and like Malcolm X.
Yeah, Malcolm X or Do the Right Thing. Yeah,
but yeah, it's like kind of like a combination of like all of his big stuff. You can kind of see the seeds of his past work.
This is like, if I had seen this movie and I didn't know it was Spike, I'm like, $10 says this is Spike. There it is. There's his name in the credits right there. It's fucking obviously this is Spike.
Yeah.
It's a very Spike movie. It just like certain directors, and we'll talk about this later as well in the show, but certain directors just have like an ambiance and a feel, and Spike Lee very much has an ambience. You can always tell when it's a Spike Lee or a Spike Lee ploitation movie. Just because Spike Lee has so much more passion than probably most directors in Hollywood.
Well, he loves making movies.
He loves making movies, and
he loves like getting a message across, and he does it very well.
And you know what I think really sets Spike Lee apart from other directors?
What's that?
He gives a shit about his characters.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And I don't think a lot of directors do. I think a lot of directors are like, all right, here we go. Let's shoot this fucking Iron Man. There he is. He's got a beard.
The difference between that is fucking Marvel movies are pro-cop, and Spike Lee's not.
Yeah. yeah, that's very true.
Remember that scene when Captain America says that surveillance is bad for cops? People like those movies, though.
Yeah, they like them. I also like that Spike Lee likes to sneak in a lot of references in this movie. And like always, actually, he loves to reference film. One of my favorite parts is when they're being held up by the Vietnamese people, and they're like, "We're cops," and he's like, "Where's your badges?" And he's like, "We don't need no stinking." He like does like the Mexican accent and everything. He's like, "We don't need no stinking badges," and I'm like, "God damn, this man loves film, and I love him for sure." Yeah. What I do like about this movie too is that it's not predictable either. The twist ending that comes like near the end, I didn't really see it coming, like at all. There's also like, especially like, I think it's right near the end, there is a fucking amazing like 10 to 12 minute monologue from Paul, and it is incredible. That is the most I've paid attention to a film in maybe ever, is that 10 to 12 minute monologue just plopped right there at the end of this movie, and it's intense. I also like that when you have shitty characters who sort of gain redemption in their own eyes and see the error of their ways, Spike Lee is like, do I give him a redemption arc? Nah, fuck him. Fuck him. They saw what they did was wrong, and then they died. Fuck them. No redemption arc. That's screenwriting, baby. That's how you write a movie.
No Disney buybacks or anything?
No Disney buybacks in this
All
bad
right,
boy.
we're not going to have enough time to get through Artemis Fowl at this rate. Here, sadly, so.
Good. I got fucking 5 words to say about Artemis Fowl. We'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah. And then, like, just when you're like, I don't know how this could get any more Spike Lee, like 3 minutes to the end, they're like, get him on a dolly shot, dude. Get a fucking camera on a dolly and have people just sort of riding it like they're walking. Perfect. That's the most Spike Lee shit I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely.
I think it goes without saying. I feel like we didn't give too much away. I think it goes without saying you should fucking watch this movie because it rips.
Any Spike Lee joint that comes out, I'm going to be watching.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an extremely good movie. It's not my favorite Spike.
No.
I definitely think Do the Right Thing is better. That's the best Spike Lee movie in my opinion. It's better than Klansman, though.
I agree.
It's better than Klansman.
I liked it more than Black Klansman.
Yeah. I do think that there is a little bit of like we mentioned earlier, the romance plots, which we tried to brush past because there's also like a female lead in this movie who's there for some reason, and then she shows up there for some reason. Yeah, and it just there's some unnecessary parts to this movie, but overall it's very good, and I really like. I'm gonna give it a 4-star on the Chesky scale.
Yeah, 4-star for me. Strong showing.
Yeah, I really wrestled with myself. I'm like, is it a 4 or is it a 5? And at the end of the day, I'm like, that romance plot kind of knocks it off a little bit. So I'm gonna give it the classic 4-star.
Sure.
Good film. All right, Judd Apatow. Let's talk about Judd.
All right.
So here's the thing about Judd is that he's super hit and miss. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see we have the poster right here, and on top of the poster it says from the director of Trainwreck. I wouldn't do that.
That's the only poster I could find.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not saying you. I'm saying Judd. I wouldn't advertise the
40-year-old virgin on there.
Yeah, put 40-year-old virgin. You know why? Because 40-year-old virgin is a 5.
Yeah. I guess I haven't seen it in a long time though. So
I saw it. I think last year.
I haven't seen it though, so I don't know.
Really good. It's still really.
I'm not gonna
good.
trust your. I'm not gonna trust your opinion.
Yeah, it's probably.
I
good
don't
idea.
listen to this
I'm
show.
dumb. Yeah, no, I'm dumb. You're right. But 40-year-old. No, it's not a 5, but it's good. And then he made Knocked Up. Judd Apatow has made 5 films. That's what I think a lot of people don't know. He's such a huge name in Hollywood because he produced so much shit.
Right.
And by the way, 90% of the stuff he produced was in fact shit. Like Talladega Nights.
Come
Blades
on. Talladega Night holds up.
No, it fucking doesn't. Unbelievable. Anchorman, maybe. I might give you Anchorman. But I sure as shit will not give you that shake and bake.
When shake and bakey, baby.
The shake and bake shit.
When Will Ferrell makes out with Sacha Baron Cohen, you don't like that content?
Oh yeah, I forgot that's in there,
That's
dude.
a funny movie, funny film.
No, it's I forgot he was even in that movie at all. That movie sucks, dude.
No, it holds up.
No, it doesn't. Blades of Glory, like the Anchorman movies,
Blades of Glory does not hold up.
Blades of Glory does not hold up. A lot of those movies. What was that one with The Campaign? That one didn't hold up.
I barely remember. I know I saw it. I don't know what it's about though.
Yeah, he produced so many movies.
Sure.
Like he's
That's
straight
where
up.
the money is. Though.
He straight up produced like 100.
Less work.
He's straight up produced 100 movies in like 10 years, and that's like pretty crazy. And he's only made 5, and let's go through them. He made The 40-Year-Old Virgin. That was his first movie. That was his directorial debut, and it's fucking awesome. It's so good. And then there's Knocked Up, and Knocked Up is fine.
Knocked Up's all right.
I'll give it whatever. It's fine.
Very Seth Rogen-y.
Yeah, it's super Seth Rogen-y, and Katherine Heigl is awful at acting, and I fucking hate seeing her. But then he was like, "Let's make funny people," and I'm like, "Wow, Judd, that's the worst fucking movie ever made."
I'll pass on that one. Hey, 3 hours? No thanks.
I hate funny people. Funny people suck so much. It's like, ugh. And then he made This Is 40, and you're like, how is it worse? How did you make it worse? How could you possibly have made it worse, Judd Apatow? This is like this is fucking worse.
My favorite thing about This Is 40 is that it doesn't even attempt to do a single joke.
No, there's no jokes, and it's 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever, to be honest, I'm trying to remember This Is 40. I don't think I've ever made it to the end. Now that I feel like I feel like I've gotten to the 145 mark and been like, well, nothing's happened yet. So.
One time when I had really bad insomnia, I'm like, come on, this has to do it. This has to be the thing that puts me to sleep. And I watched all 3 hours of it.
Oh no!
It sucked. It was terrible.
It's it's fucking incredibly bad. But then you had Trainwreck, and Trainwreck was I would say about on par with Knocked Up. It's like it's okay, I guess. There's a couple of things in it about it that I like. Like I like Bill Hader, and I think Amy Schumer is fine in it, and John Cena's fun to see.
Yeah. Love to see John Cena, personally.
But then it feels like Judd Apatow was like, okay, I gotta make a movie that actually fucking.
To be fair, he does have 45 writing credits.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, holy shit. He writes a lot. But he's only directed now 6 films, and he's like, let's make sure that this next film that I make means something, and that it's
You want to hear some of the movies he wrote?
Sure. Is it Now We Pronounce Chuck and Larry or whatever?
Fun with Dick and Jane.
Bad film. Jim Carrey.
Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Very bad film. Adam
Pineapple Express, Just the Story.
That's a good movie. I like that movie.
But here's the one that I think is going under the radar here. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story.
Oh,
Judd Apatow.
I like Walk Hard, actually.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Although somebody did tell, like I saw this thing on Facebook where there was like a poll that was like better music film, and it was Walk Hard versus Spinal Tap, and Walk Hard won, and I'm like, not quite.
I think I would go with that.
Over Spinal Tap? Over Spinal Tap, come on.
Yeah, you're right. Spinal Tap's very funny.
Spinal Tap fucking rules, dude.
Yeah, you're right. Spinal Tap's very funny.
But anyway, back to my point. Judd Apatow decided that after making a decade and a half of pretty not good shit, he was like, better make some good shit.
Well, what actually happened is he's like, let's see what Pete Davidson has for me.
And Pete
Davidson, basically. This is the Pete Davidson movie. I barely attached Judd Apatow to this at all.
That's true, because this movie was written by Judd and Pete, but it's very clear how much of this movie Pete Davidson wrote, and it's all of it.
Yeah, this shit's the fucking Pete Davidson show. And
here's the thing: is that I fucking love Pete Davidson, dude. I fucking love Pete Davidson.
Dude, there's a line in it. Where they talk about his dark sense of humor doesn't work or whatever.
Yeah.
But it works perfectly for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like every time he says something fucked up, I'm like, that's what I would have said there.
Yeah, that's extremely funny. This movie is so good. I fucking love this movie. And I'm so glad to see that Judd is back. I'm glad to see that he's back, and
I don't really care if Judd's
gives,
back. To
gives
be
a shit.
He's a fucking rich fucking.
Yeah, I think he's like one of the richest people in Hollywood, actually.
Probably.
But I am so glad to see that there is actual.
Here's what I'm excited for.
What's
that Pete Davidson is now in the news cycle, not for
stand-up comedy,
not for dating someone.
Yeah, because who Selena Gomez or something like that?
No, it was Adriana
Grande,
and then it was
Ariana Grande,
Katie Holmes or whatever.
He dated Katie Holmes.
He dated somebody who was like 20 years older than him. I forget who it was.
That's pretty funny. Because here's the thing, guys. Y'all ever seen a Pete Davidson stand-up special? He is really fucking funny, guys, and that's why he should be famous.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he didn't do any assaults. We just lost Chris D'Elia, everyone.
Yeah, we just
lost Chris D'Elia for being a pedophile.
Yeah, didn't he assault a 15-year-old girl or something?
He didn't do any assaults. He's just a pedophile. Just fuck 16-year-olds. He's just a pedophile. He's just a simple pedophile.
Here's the thing, though. Not that surprised.
No,
it's Chris
D'Elia. It's who you always expect, right? You know how he's played a pedophile in 3 different pieces of media? Workaholics, You, and something else? He's played a pedophile in all of those.
I did not know this. Did he play a pedophile in Little Evil?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So here's the thing about this movie, and this is why I like it so much, is that Pete Davidson's just such a delight. And here's the thing, he's a shockingly great actor.
Yeah.
That being said, he's playing Pete Davidson in this movie.
Sure.
This movie is actually like pretty much his life story, but here's why I respect that more than anything. Because the plot of this movie is that Pete Davidson is a dude who's fucked up because his firefighter father was killed in a hotel fire. Okay, here's what actually happened. Pete Davidson is fucked up with PTSD because his actual dad died as a fireman in 9/11. And here's why I respect the way that they went with this movie. I don't need the 9/11 angle.
They didn't use the 9/11.
They didn't use the 9/11 angle, and I don't fucking need it. Because I've seen that movie. I've seen it at this point.
Yeah.
Whereas
with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. What was that? No, United 93?
Oh, United 93.
Oh,
World Trade Center.
World Trade Center, that's right. Or that Robert Pattinson one where his dad dies in 9/11. What was that? Remember Me?
Didn't see that.
It's very
Didn't see
bad.
that one.
And here's the thing: rare bad performance from Pattinson in that one. A rare bad performance.
Ooh, we got a rarity.
Yeah, hell yeah. But they took out the 9/11 angle, which I respect because you don't
Doesn't need
it.
Does not need it.
You absolutely don't need it because like the idea that his dad fucking died as a firefighter,
It's enough.
it's fucked up already.
It's already enough.
And so essentially the plot of this movie is that this dude is a bum and he smokes weed all day because he's fucked up. His mom lets him live in his basement because he's super fucked up. He smokes weed with his buddies all day. Igor is the best character in this entire movie. He's got like this friend who is maybe 4'5" and is like a skinny little nerd character. Love him. But here's like another like big takeaway from this movie that I found is that I'm looking at my notebook here, and if I'm watching a comedy movie and the only notes that I have written down are jokes that I want to remember, it means that I was fucking howling laughing watching. This movie is extremely funny.
It's so funny.
It's extremely
and that
funny.
is one thing that I did take away with it. We were sitting right over there watching it, and I was like laughing so hard.
Yeah,
it's like every like little interaction, like especially once Bill Burr shows up, who's the best screamer in the business as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That guy can yell like nobody else.
I do.
And it's fucking pure gold.
Yeah, Bill. And here's the thing, Bill Burr, who plays like his mother's new boyfriend, is also like fucking amazing in this movie. And I was like, how the fuck? And I figured out what it was, and it was the two have great chemistry. The two work together so well. Like, and it makes that relationship between them, even though it's like a little contrived, believable because they work together so well.
Well, Burr is like shockingly a very good actor. Like
Yeah.
in everything he's in, he's
Yeah, I
like
see him
super
in-
good. But I think it helps that Pete Davidson's a stand-up, and Bill Burr is like the best stand-up in the world. So I'm sure
Yeah.
they both like respect each other quite a lot.
Yeah, like it's very clear that on the set of this movie they were actual friends.
Yeah.
And then you got Marissa Tomei, and guess what?
Sure, killing it.
40 chess, dude. She's fucking unreal in this movie. Everybody is like pretty damn good in this movie. And there's like those three people are the takeaways for sure. And they're the main characters, so that's important that those three people are going to be the takeaways. If I had to make a criticism of this movie, I do have one, and maybe it's just how it is in Staten Island. Why did you hire the same brunette girl to play every female character in this movie? Is that just like what girls from Staten Island look like? Because every girl in this movie looks fucking the same. I couldn't tell the difference between his sister, his cousin, and his girlfriend. They all look the fucking same.
Yeah.
That being said, all three also good. So
I mean, Apatow's daughters was probably the worst one.
which one was that? Was
I
she
think it was the actual sister.
the actual sister? Yeah. What was her name? Maud Apatow?
Yeah.
Maud. Yeah, but that's like really the only thing I didn't really like about this movie, because this, much like Da 5 Bloods, is a really long movie.
Quite long, but
Quite-
not as long as I expected it to be. I heard it was going to be like fucking 3 hours. It's like 2:10.
I almost kind of wish it was, to be honest. I almost kind of wish it was.
Because like
3
the thing
hours.
about this movie is like it's telling a story, but it meanders because it's mostly doing bits. Like I feel like there's just a lot of bit. Like there's a full 15-minute scene where he's fucking tattooing a child.
Yeah, that's actually the hardest I laughed in the entire movie is when he tattoos the kid, and then the kid is like, "No, I don't want it," and runs away.
That was the hardest I laughed until Action Bronson stumbles up, and that's like the hardest I've ever laughed. Maybe.
Yeah, and like when Bill Burr is like standing there with the kid, and they're like at the front door, and he calls Pete Davidson, or the mom calls Pete Davidson, and he's like, "Yeah, what's up, Mom?" Oh fuck, that's the hardest I laughed this entire fucking movie. But the thing is, I maybe laughed 30 times.
Dude,
hard.
There's a scene like just randomly where they're fist fighting for tips with Hulk.
Yeah,
hands,
with the
and
Hulk
it's like-
hands, dude.
It's just like there's so many good bits in this, dude. Just like
Yeah. It is a little predictable at times.
Sure,
and contrived, but I really don't care about. Like, there's like a scene where Bill Burr's like, "I've never got a tattoo." And then you're like, Bill Burr's getting a tattoo in this movie. For sure.
I never got a single tattoo.
He's like, "I never got a tattoo."
I do like right away they explain
What kind of fucking kid you raising here?
right away they explain his Boston accent that he is originally from
From
Boston
Boston, yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
like you can't hide that.
Yeah,
shit.
immediately he's like, "I'm a big fan of the Red Sox. I wouldn't step foot in Yankee Stadium." Oh man. And there's just like, I also like the Action Bronson just stumbles into this movie at one
That's what
point.
I was saying earlier. I was saying like the tattoo is the funniest part until Action Bronson shows up.
That's right. That's right.
And they're like, did you get shot or stabbed? He's like, don't worry about all that.
He's like, I need you to give me medical attention. He's like, dude, I am so high, I cannot help you. Oh man. What I do like about this movie though so much, because we've talked about how funny it is, because it's funny. But I don't think it's a comedy.
No.
I don't think it's a comedy.
It's extremely genuine.
It's a very authentic movie about depression and PTSD.
Right.
Like, it's pretty real.
Especially once he starts to work at the firehouse, and you're like, now he's part of the boys.
Yeah, now he's the boys, dude. And that's like my favorite part of the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
Except when he gets tossed in the pool.
I wrote down surprisingly wholesome. That's what I wrote down.
It is, yeah. And like the relationships between. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I
also wrote. Don't you need training to be a fireman?
Yeah. Well, he's not really that, but he
goes on calls though.
Yeah, that's true. A few times. But what I do like about this movie is that the Bill Burr character is awesome. And the reason for that is because you, as an audience member, because you're so ingrained in the Pete Davidson character, you do spend the first little bit of the movie, like most of the movie, trying to villainize Bill Burr. And when finally, like the villainization comes, there's actually like a genuine and real explanation as to why Pete Davidson thinks that way about Bill Burr and why it's maybe not totally apt.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's so good. Like everything about this movie. This is a serious movie. It's a fucking really serious movie about like dealing with ADHD and dealing with depression. Like, and it's so incredibly on point. Like this is actually what it looks like. You know, it's crazy. It's really crazy how accurate this movie is. Mm-hmm. I thought, like, especially near the end, I thought, like, this might be getting a little bit. This might be getting a little bit too cliche, and then they're like, well, we better fucking fix that, and then and then it's not cliche. I don't know. This is very clearly. I would almost say a masterfully crafted film, and if I'm being real, this is the best movie I've seen in 2020. I'm sure it'll be topped, maybe even next week. Who knows? But so far, this is
coming down the pipe, dude.
This is the best fucking movie I've seen in 2020. I love this movie so much. I'm gonna give it a 5-star. There's literally nothing.
Legendary 5-star, legendary rating for a legendary movie.
Literally nothing I would change about this movie.
I'll give it a 4, but I do think it's very, very good.
Fucking, this is an awesome movie. It's $20 right now, which is it's a little steep. It's $20 on VOD.
You're getting your money's worth though. It's super long.
Yeah, it's super. Yeah, you get it's 8 cents per minute. But yeah, it's $20 to rent. I'm sure that's gonna come down to 6 soon. But I would almost recommend checking it out while it's still 20 because I think it deserves your money.
You know what I'm liking about quarantine?
What's that?
Premium VOD, baby.
Premium VOD has been
shit on
awesome.
my fucking giant TV.
Because here's the thing: is that like when I rented this movie, I was like $20. Oh fuck, man, that's a lot. But then, like, I realized, wait a minute, I would have seen this in the theater for sure because I love Pete Davidson. I would have seen this in the theater. I would have paid for my ticket. I would have paid for my partner's ticket. I would have paid for shit to eat during the movie and popcorn. It's $50.
This guy, when you go to a movie theater with this guy, here's what you gotta know. He never wears shoes. He wears fucking sandals. And he can't stop eating the entire duration of the film. It's actually like shocking how much food he buys beforehand. Like he spends like a paycheck's worth of money on fucking theater candy.
A lot of food.
Hot dogs, popcorn.
I genuinely
dumps the fucking candies in there.
I genuinely considered coming to the podcast without a shirt today. I was like, that might be funny.
There's a couple episodes, if you go back into the archive, where Chadley is on the video not wearing a shirt.
Yeah, I think it's happened. I think it's happened here and there. I think when I ate that habanero pepper, the California Reaper pepper got too hot, dude. Got toasty.
Too hot.
Got too toasty. Let's check out George Miller month, kind of.
Kind of.
Whoops. Is it John Landis month? Is it Spielberg month? I don't know. It's some kind of month.
None of those. If anything, it's fucking Joe Dante month.
Yeah, if anything, it is.
anything.
If anything, it is Joe Dante month. Let's talk about Twilight Zone the movie.
The film, the Twilight Zone, the movie.
So here's what I didn't know about this until I did my research. This
What's
movie
that?
came out 18 years after the show was canceled.
That's right.
So
The show's in black and white, bro.
yeah, it is. It's an old show, dude, with Burgess Meredith and his the scary door, dude. I love the scary door bit. I love the scary door bit. But this movie is made up of
It's
five
a midnight special.
segments, including an epilogue.
That's right.
And I would love to talk about each and every one because
Well, that's how I laid it out.
yeah,
So.
I'd love to talk about each and every one. Because here's what I'm gonna tell you right now. I did not even for a second look up who directed which segments, but I know.
You do?
I absolutely am 100%. And when we talk about eeach one, I'm going to tell you who I think directed it of the directors
Okay.
that we got on deck.
I think you're probably going to get wacky Joe Dante for sure.
Okay, so let's start off with the epilogue. The epilogue's not that good. In fact, if anything, it's kind of bad.
Hey, you
Essentially,
want to see something scary? Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks are boys.
yeah,
Two of our boys.
Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks are rolling down the fucking highway and talking for what feels like an hour about TV shows.
I was saying this. I was saying this. This feels like the original podcast.
Yeah,
It's just two guys talking, and they're like singing theme songs. They're like, "What's the theme song?"
Yeah, they're just they're going ba 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 ba. And someone's like Miami Vice, and they're like, yeah. But what I do love is that this movie starts off with CCR, which we love.
Which we love.
Little bit of midnight special, baby. It's that midnight special, some CCR. But then they start talking about all these different TV shows, and then I almost turned the movie off because Dan Aykroyd is like, "Hey, have you ever watched the Twilight Zone?"
Here, go look into the camera right now.
Yeah. Hey guys, have you ever watched the Twilight Zone? And I was like, "Oh my fucking god, are they talking about the Twilight Zone in the Twilight Zone?"
They're like, "Hey guys, have you ever seen the the Twilight Zone?"
Yeah, and then they describe the TV show for like 5 minutes for so long. I don't like this one. Now here's the thing. Do you know who directed which ones?
I know every single thing who was directed by what. Yeah.
The epilogue is John Landis for sure.
This prologue.
Yeah,
the
prologue.
epilogue.
The prologue is John
The prologue is directed by John Landis. That is correct.
Yes.
Because he says, you want to see something scary, then he turns into a scary wolf
Landis.
monster.
He turns into the Werewolf of London. So I'm like, it's John Landis for sure. I was almost to a point where I almost looked around. I'm like, did I rent the wrong movie? I think I gave them my money. I rented the wrong movie because there's no way they're talking about Twilight.
All right, so from there it moves into Time's Out, and I think you know already who directed this one because we watched a whole fucking episode.
Yes, this is the one I knew for sure because we watched that Curse Films documentary about what's it called?
Time's Out.
Time's Out. I don't know the names of each one, so I'm gonna rely on you. Time's Out. This one's John Landis, and we know that. Because this one is the one where Vic Morrow plays racist Ebenezer Scrooge. And I think this one is okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's not very interesting, though.
But it's also not very... This is a problem I have with a few of these. It's not very Twilight Zone-y. It feels more like a creep show thing.
No, it kind of is because he fucking dies at the end.
Yeah, but does he?
Well, the thing about Twilight Zone is they just end on something bad happening, right? So.
Yeah, that is true. And that is what happens in this one. However, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, briefly, because we've already talked about it at length, this one feels weird because it's incomplete. This one they actually did not finish making this one.
Right. And Vic Morrow is dead now.
Yeah, Vic Morrow is dead. And what a way to go out. Have him in a bar yelling the N-word.
Yelling the
over
of
and
N-words,
over and over
lot
again.
Of G slurs.
Yeah, the K word, which I can't say on here. Just being incredibly racist. So this guy, he goes into a bar, he starts screaming, he's shouting racial slurs, and he goes out of the bar, and out of the bar he is transported magically
to Nazi Germany.
Into Nazi Germany.
That's right.
Interesting. So now he is being treated as if he is like a Jewish refugee by the Gestapo, and he's being slapped around a lot with pistolas. And they're like, what I do like about this movie that I think is smart is that they use like German phrases that are like pretty easy to decipher into English. They're like papers, and you're like, I wonder what that means. They're probably looking for his papers. And then they're like, the fuck is this? They got his credit card.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. And this movie, like, here's the thing. I've never seen the original show. For real. Like if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Super
Like I've seen bits and pieces, and I watched that Jordan Peele one, which was like pretty fucking good, and nobody watched it.
Pretty similar to that, actually, to be honest. Like the Jordan Peele ones are like shot for shot.
But
almost.
here's what I do know about the Twilight Zone is that it is scary, and
sometimes it's just like something fucked up happens.
yeah, and this one is kind of more of that, and it's not really fucked up. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of
well,
weird.
what happens with Twilight Zone is like the idea of it is that the fucking bad guys usually win.
Yeah, absolutely, which is good, which we like.
That's what I like.
Yeah, that's what we like. And this one here is really crazy because essentially he goes from Nazi Germany, and then suddenly he gets transported.
Yeah, he falls off a ledge and then he transports to like this KKK rally.
Yeah.
And they're calling him the N-word. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not even black. And it's like, you're clearly black, sir.
Yeah. And so essentially what we have here is we have the Christmas Carol a bit where you got the Ghost of Christmas.
These are all based on episodes, right? So these are all kind of like vaguely based on actual episodes of the Twilight
Oh,
Zone.
that I did not know.
Yeah.
That I find interesting. But you got your Ghost of Christmas Jewish, Ghost of Christmas Blacks, and Ghost of Christmas Viet Cong. And so they go to the KKK and then they end up in Vietnam.
Yeah. He's getting chased by the KKK guys. Go underwater, pulls up.
He's in Nam, and he's being treated by American soldiers like he is a member of the Viet Cong.
Yeah.
And so like the idea is like, what would you do in their shoes, you know? But it's also kind of like, it's just like, this one is just kind of dumb. I think that it's kind of stupid. The point here is don't say the N-word, and it's like, in 83, maybe that's a point. But
I guess.
in 2020, that doesn't really do it. And then they hit him with a grenade, and the grenade blasts him back in time, back to the Nazis, where he's arrested, and he's taken away by the Nazis.
Put on the little train ride.
And then it ends. And I was like, huh.
You're like, oh, where was that helicopter scene?
You're like, oh.
They didn't put it in.
Yeah. And here's the thing, is that no shit they didn't put it in, but I was waiting because I thought maybe. I was like, they're probably not going to put it in. Because the way that this was supposed to end, for those who don't know, is that he was supposed to go back to Vietnam and redeem himself by saving 2 Vietnamese children from a fucking exploding village. But then the exploding village practical effects hit a helicopter. It came down and it killed the kids and Vic Morrow.
Sliced 2 children.
In real fucking life. I'm not talking about this is what would happen in the movie.
I read a thing though where it was like that was actually not supposed to be the ending. That was just going to be like he goes through that and then an explosion happens and he's still at the cart at the end. So I don't know.
Yeah. But the thing is like it does feel very clear that like halfway through making this section of the movie, they were like, "Oh, we need to cut this out because we need to deal with legal shit for the next 6 years."
You're definitely not going to put that in.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like they don't like it's not finished. It's not, and like there's good reason it's not finished. Like it's like The Crow, right? Like that there's segments of that movie where like, or like Furious 7. There's segments where you're like, that's not Paul Walker. Who the fuck's that guy? You know. Whereas like this is like, okay, they clearly they didn't even want to try, and like I get it. Like it's they made some pretty big fucking mistakes, and they killed 2 kids in Vic Morrow. I wouldn't want to be on that set anymore.
All
either.
right, let's move on to the next one.
The next one. All right, you ready for my guess on director?
Kick the Can is what this one's called.
This one, it's called Kick the Can. That makes sense. The next one is by far the worst one.
Absolutely fucking atrocious. I hate this one.
And it is also definitely Steven Spielberg.
That is correct.
This one is definitely
so Spielberg.
It's so Spielbergy because this one's not
It's nice.
Yeah, this one's not about anything. This one's not
It's
about
just
anything.
Scatman Crothers being a magical black man, and it's just,
Like
it's just nice.
I actually wrote that down. Like he's just literally a mystical
That's what
black
I wrote
man.
down too.
So essentially what happens is it's Scatman Crothers.
Tally ho!
Yeah, Scatman Crothers is apparently old Peter Pan, I guess. And he goes from retirement home to retirement home, transforming these old people back into children so that they can live a longer life. Well, okay. All right.
I've watched this movie before, and I specifically remember this segment because fucking Newton happens in
Fucking
it.
nothing. And here's the thing, is that you're waiting for something sinister here.
Yeah,
Like you're waiting
exactly.
for something fucked up to happen because it's the Twilight Zone.
And the only thing that's like kind of vaguely like scary is at the end he's like, he'll get his. And it's like, what do you mean?
What? Yeah, I didn't know what that line meant either, to be honest. Like this one's like kind of whimsical.
Yeah.
And it's like bright and it uses
Looks like it has Vaseline on the lens.
It looks like they fucking straight up used the recycled screenplay for Hook, like the one they didn't use.
Right.
Is in this. And so is it, like this is what Hook started as, I think, and then they're like, we can't make a full movie of that. Let's just make it Peter Pan, I guess. So he goes from retirement village to retirement village, and like he turns the old people into kids. They play on the playground for a little bit, and then they're like, we don't want to be kids forever. We want to be old. And he was like, I'll take care of that. Here's the thing about Scatman Crothers. I do like him.
Yeah.
But how come every movie he acts in, he's maybe a pedophile? every time he's always talking to kids, and he's always like,
He's a little crystal, yeah.
I'll take you up if you want. And you're like, what? No, God. You're maybe a pedophile. Or maybe you're nice. I don't know. But maybe a pedophile.
Always good to see Scatman, though.
Yeah, good. Nice to see Scatman Crothers. He does deserve a love and appreciation.
This is very clearly my least favorite of these, and I
this
barely
one-
liked the last one. So.
This one, yeah, I think the last one's okay. This one straight up sucks because, like we said, it's not about anything. He's like, I'll turn you into kids, and then when they're done being kids, they're like, we'd like to be old again. He's like, cool.
So one thing that Roger Ebert noted about this film was that you've got Steven Spielberg and John Landis. These are two superstar directors.
Yeah.
And their two segments are fucking complete garbage. And then you have these two new guys to Hollywood, kind of haven't done that much, and their ones rip. So it's like,
so I'm not quite sure what the disconnect is. Maybe it's like Spielberg and Landis just kind of thought they were too good for it.
I don't know,
because it's like
Landis put like all of his fucking like a lot of work into this. He like produced a lot of it. And, like,
yeah, that's
wrote
true.
All of it pretty much.
Landis clearly cared about this, but then his segment is meh.
Well, I mean, he also killed a guy during it, so
Yeah,
couple kids too.
Yeah, that's true. Killed a couple of kids. Yeah, and then he turns it back into old people, and then they're like, "Thank you so much, Genie," and he's like, "I'm out of here, guys." And then he just walks to another retirement village, which is apparently around the corner. And
a lot. Sometimes there's a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
I know of two right around here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe I'm wrong then. Maybe you're right. But then he walks around the corner. And he's like, "Hi, I'm here to turn old people into young people," and it ends.
Yeah.
And I was like watching it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I spent that entire time waiting for something weird to happen like that. Like I thought that they were going to be stuck children. I thought they were going to be stuck.
See, that's Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
If they don't want to be children and they're stuck as children, but they don't end up like that. So obviously Steven Spielberg's like, we can't have that.
Yeah, that's too good. Sorry, guys. I want to make sure this is deplorable garbage. Okay, now we got the next one. What's this one called?
The Good Life.
It's called The Good Life, and this one's fucking for sure Joe Dante.
It's 100% Joe Dante. There's
100%.
no way it could be anything else because it's too wacky.
It's fucking it's too crazy. It's too crazy to not be Joe Dante. So this one is by far the best one.
This is my favorite.
This one is,
but it's just because it's crazy.
Yeah, this one is like this one and the next one are both just like fucking havoc. Yeah. And I see why they saved them for last. Although, like, I almost wish they would have sandwiched the two good ones.
I wish
like,
they didn't even put Kick the Can in this fucking thing. But the only reason they did was because Spielberg's name was attached to it. And we can sell tickets. We can sell tickets with this.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, like, on the poster, like the original posters, it was like Steven Spielberg presents Twilight Zone the movie.
Yeah.
And he's highly credited for this movie, which sucks. Sucks, dude. But then there's this one which is called The Good Life.
Yeah.
This one, it's awesome. You have this woman, she's traveling across across the United States, and she accidentally hits a kid on his bike with her car. That fucker comes out of nowhere, and I swear to God, so my girlfriend, she takes an online class, so I have to watch movies with headphones in right now while she's doing that, and so I have to be pretty quiet because she's on like Zoom with her professor with her fucking microphone on, and that kid came out of nowhere. She hit that kid, and as loud as I could, I went, "Holy fuck!" It was really loud, and I got in trouble for it, but it was funny. I do think it was funny. So I went, "Holy fuck," because she hits this kid. Then the kid's like, she's like, "Can I give you a ride home? I'll give you money to fix your bike." And then he's like, "Cool, we can be friends." And she's like, "Hell yeah, we can be friends." Mm-hmm. And so they go back to his weird, creepy ass Looney Tune house with his weird ass parents, and he's like, "It's my birthday," and they don't even
family.
Yeah, they got this weird cartoon family, but also maybe the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family.
What I liked about this too is like. It's got like some weird like German expressionism like filmmaking, like fucking Dr. Caligari or whatever, Caligari. But like it's just like super weird, shadowy, classic just German expressionist. Just typing German expressionist filmmaking.
Yeah,
yeah, that's what this looks like.
Yeah, like almost like it almost uses shadows the same way that like a Nosferatu does. And
well, that's German expressionist filmmaking.
Yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, exactly. And so like that is why like this movie, this section of the movie is awesome because it uses this great.
The style is just fucking wild.
It's so crazy. It doesn't look like anything, but it's not supposed to.
Yeah.
Because essentially this kid has come to the realization at a young age that he has a special psychic ability that anything he wishes for, he gets.
Right.
And so that's a crazy enough concept as it is. But the shit that he wants is so bananas. The shit that this creepy little motherfucker wants is insane. Like he wants to bring the Tasmanian devil into real life, but then it's like all fucked up and it looks like it doesn't have enough bones in its body. Like
it's got that crazy like Pee-wee's Big Adventure like doe person.
Yeah, it looks like The Grudge.
It looks like The Grudge.
Yeah, it looks fucking disgusting.
It's like he also is like he's like making people's mouths closed and like putting them into cartoons and shit, and everything about it's super fucked up.
And this is the one that I think embodies the Twilight Zone the best.
Yeah.
Because this one really feels like
I would
both
argue that the next one does because it's just so classic and it's been remade 3 times.
Hell yeah. But what I like so much about this one is that every moment of this one has you wondering what the fuck's going on. And that's what Twilight Zone should do. Every moment you're watching the Twilight Zone, you should be like, okay, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on
here? He's eating fucking hamburgers with peanut butter on them like he's Donald Trumpo.
Yeah, does Donald
I heard
Trump
that's
eat
what
that?
Donald Trumpo likes with his little hands.
Do you think Donald Trump sits in the White House like this kid does?
Yes.
Yeah, do you think Donald Trump just sits?
Yes, I do.
And they're like, so he's basically, because he has this power, he's keeping his family, who, by the way, his family, who like clearly he's murdered his previous family, he forced these new people to live with him. By the way, his quote unquote sister Ethel, I fucking noticed right away. I'm like, I know who that fucking person is, and then I looked.
One of your friends?
No, it is, however, Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson on The Simpsons. And I was like, holy fuck, she's like 15 here. This is like 10 years before maybe not quite 10 years, but it's quite a while before The Simpsons. She's quite young here.
Yeah.
But as soon as she like there is like a part where he's like accusing
that guy with
her.
Gray hair, that guy's and stuff.
I don't know. The guy who plays the rapist uncle.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
look him up.
But
he's in stuff.
He was good. He was good.
He's super good.
Yeah. What I do like about this segment too is that I love that the 80s was such a different time that there are women named Helen that you wanted to fuck.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, there are women named with the name Helen, as if that wasn't a 58-year-old woman's name that you wanted to fuck. But anyway, I digress. This one, the more this kid wishes for, the more fucked up it becomes.
Yeah.
And it's a blast. It's absolutely a blast. There's like a scene that it genuinely terrified me, and I thought about it a lot when I went to bed last night because I was uncomfortable, where he fucking pulls the scary demon rabbit out, and I was like, oh, great. Thank you for the
scary
night.
demon rabbit is fucking
thank
wild,
Thank you for the nightmares, Joe Dante. That's the fucking scariest
Kevin
thing.
McCarthy.
What has
from,
Kevin McCarthy done?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He did a lot of like weird horror stuff that I remember seeing him in.
Oh, hell yeah. Love Invasion, dude.
Yeah.
Love Invasion. But anyway, this one is just really colorful and fucked up and weird, and like there's no rules to this one because realistically with the rules you've set in place there couldn't be any rules. This one's awesome. I really, really like this one.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun one.
Let's go to the last one. This is the George Miller one. Correct?
Yep.
Well, there's nobody else it could be because we've gone through all
We've
the
gone
rest
through all
of
the
them.
directors, yeah.
You want to know why I know this is the George Miller one?
Why is that?
Fucking creepy eyeball goblin. That's how I know.
There's a goblin.
There's a goblin, and his eyeballs are half outside of its eyelids.
We got Lithgow playing the Shatner part.
Yeah, there's
who
something
was-
on the wing.
I think was later revisited by Adam Scott in the new one.
Is that
was-
true?
I forget who played it in the new one.
Adam Scott. Oh, that's a weird choice, but all right. I like Adam Scott. Adam Scott says no to drugs, guys.
That's true. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's true. I never watched the new version of it.
But anyway,
Maybe it's Kumail.
maybe it is Kumail. Oh, we like Kumail. We also
I know
don't like Kumail.
I'm pretty sure Kumail is in that Twilight Zone show, but I don't remember.
Yeah. But anyway, this one is also
Nightmare at 20,000 feet. This is the shit, dude. This is what people think about when they think about Twilight Zone.
This one is very good.
Yeah, this one's
and this one's the George Miller one. And this one is very good for one reason alone is that John Lithgow is the best fucking actor in the
I
world.
love John Lithgow.
He's
Anytime
so
I see
good.
John Lithgow, I'm like, that's the shit. When
Yeah.
he was in that season of Dexter, it's
the
like
shit, yeah.
you could never possibly make a season of TV better than that because Lithgow's so fucking creepy.
Yeah, and then he stopped being on Dexter, and we're like, this ain't worth it.
We're not watching this
We're
anymore.
obviously not gonna watch the rest of this.
Because you can't get better than season 3 of Dexter.
Yeah, you can't reel back from that. It's gotten too good. That's actually I think where I stopped too was like right at the beginning of season 4, right after Lithgow was gone, and I was like, I don't care anymore. Lithgow's not in it. And John Lithgow is so crazy because essentially he plays like this paranoid schizophrenic in this one, who is scared about flying.
Yeah.
Now my partner used to be a flight attendant. She says this is really fucking real, and that like the way that this guy acts happens all the fucking time. Happens all the fucking time. So essentially, this guy is so nervous, drenched, dude. He's fucking soaked in
Just
sweat.
absolutely tossing water on him. You could see George Miller was on the set just tossing buckets of
Hell yeah.
water on him.
He is lathered up, dude. He's smoking on a plane, which I respect. I love when people are smoking on a plane.
Smoking?
Yeah, smoking on a plane, dude. I wish I could do it. You can't do it now.
I wish you could smoke in a lot of places.
I wish you
I
could
think
smoke.
we should bring that back.
I think you could smoke inside.
I gotta
dude.
make a call to Jason Kenney.
Yeah. Why is there? How come there's no way to rent an apartment where you can smoke inside anymore? You used to be able to do
Oh,
it.
you can do that. This place is smoking.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Because last week,
Light up, bitch.
Last weekend I was here. I was like, "Can I smoke it?" I was like gonna ask you if I could smoke in here, and then I was like, "Nah."
You didn't ask. You didn't ask.
But I didn't smoke either.
That's true.
I was gonna, but I didn't ask because I was like, nah, that's disrespectful. That's crazy disrespectful. But the second he's looking out the window and he sees the airplane goblin,
Yeah.
and
it's so good when
and
it's on the wing and it's just like
yeah, and it's slipping and sliding around and it's tossing shit into engines. I love this. This is the content that I am looking for. And John Lithgow's reactions to seeing the goblin, amazing. Just simply amazing. Like John Lithgow's good with his face.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Lithgow.
plastic man.
Yeah, he's so good with his face. You're right. He doesn't really look real. He looks kind of like a Ken doll.
That's right.
But I do like it. And then, like, as soon as he sees the goblin, like, up front, and he's screaming on the plane, and there's an air marshal and a gun, and they're shooting shit, and the windows break. Like, it is the craziest 15 minutes in cinema history, I think. Like, it's so insane.
And like when he gets really close to his face and stuff, you're like, oh, this is very Mad Maxy.
Yeah.
It's very weird and Mad Maxy.
You're like, I wonder if this was made by the same guy who made son of a bitch. It's George Miller Month. You know when you're watching a shitty Spielberg movie and you're like, what's this got to do with Miller Month? And then an eyeball goblin rolls up and you're like, got it.
There we go.
Checks out. Yeah. And then like my favorite part about this one is that he's like, they're like taking him away and putting him in like in a stretcher and like whatchamacallit?
An ambulance.
A straight jacket is the word I was looking
gotcha.
for. They're putting him in a straight jacket, and he was like, That's how it went. I'm a hero. I saved the day. That's my favorite part of this whole fucking thing, dude.
Yeah.
So except for maybe Nightmare Rabbit. That's fucking crazy. That's an insane. Overall, let's talk about Twilight Zone the movie. Overall.
It's not my favorite thing to watch.
It's not my favorite thing to watch either, but the second half is.
Second half is great, yeah.
Here's the thing. If it was just the second half-esque content, you might be looking at a 5. But you're being bogged down, dude. You're being bogged down by fucking John Landis straight up murdering a dude, and Steven Spielberg shitting out the worst thing he's ever made. And Spielberg's made some shitty stuff.
Amistad.
I've never seen Amistad, but
Just the rowing. The rowing scene is
I
good.
have seen War Horse though. That's
Oh yeah, War Horse
really
is a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's a huge piece. I have seen Lincoln.
Oh wow! If you've seen Lincoln, you've seen some terrible Spielberg.
Yeah, I've seen some bad Spielberg, dude. I've seen Ready Player One.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like right down the middle because 2
Yeah.
are good, 2 are bad.
That's
I don't
always
know.
how anthologies go. Like,
I don't understand why an anthology can't just all be good.
Yeah.
When are we gonna get that?
Yeah, because like Creepshow is right down the middle too.
I've said this before, but I think anthologies are largely a waste of time because most of them are bad.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Most of the segments are bad.
But I get the idea is that you want to attach as many new famous people as you can, like directing wise, just to say. Because like, here's the thing: is that you look at that John Lithgow thing, right? He was pretty famous
All
at
right,
the
we're
time.
already at an hour and 10. Let's fucking keep going. Here.
You look at that John Lithgow thing. That thing couldn't have cost much because you had Lithgow on set for a day. Because you filmed that in a fucking day, so it probably was inexpensive. That's why they did it.
True, yeah.
Artemis Fowl, I have one question for you, Disney, and that is, what the actual fuck are you doing? And I feel like I've asked this question to Disney so many times, but what the actual fuck are you up to here?
What is this thing?
This thing is egregious. It's terrible. Kenneth Branagh also famously has made some bad movies, but this is his magnum opus of shit, dude. What a piece of garbage Artemis Fowl is. And there is about 10 million reasons why this movie sucks. It's 90 minutes. I almost didn't finish it.
Characters.
Yeah,
none
there's
of them are characters.
none of them
they
are
just
characters.
all know everything right away. They all just know all of it right away.
But you know who doesn't know all of it right away? Me, the fucking audience. And I need you to talk to me about your characters before you just put them in fucking underground fucking cities. Why is this movie made like this? Why do they never go to the underground city? Why do they show it but never fucking go there?
Why do they need to go there?
Because they don't go anywhere in this movie.
No, they don't go anywhere.
Artemis Fowl, the character of Artemis Fowl, is in his house for the entire duration.
Dude, there's a part where they're like, we need to get the Oculus or whatever. And you're like, oh, that seems like something they're going to have to go get. And they're like,
guess what? It's in his
they're
fucking
like,
house.
oh, it's in the safe in your house. And it's like,
Woo!
oh. So there's no
Why?
conflict or anything. They're like, well, there's a conflict. We're trying to get it. I'm like,
But you found it.
but you found it.
And to be honest, you always had it.
And they're like, but you can't use it because you're a human. And it's like, okay, well, she's a fairy. She'll just touch it.
Now
and it'll work.
Let me be real here for a second. And I think I'm trying to decipher, and I have been for days, and been going back and forth and people in comment threads and stuff like that about this movie, because I read this book when I was 8, like, as you should, because it's a book for 8-year-olds. Mm-hmm. I remember stuff happening in the book. And so I feel like this is a poor adaptation because nothing happens in this movie.
I simply can't remember anything about the movie other than they say sprites every other fucking word. in the
Yeah.
book.
But they also, here's the thing about this movie, is that they also lie. This movie lies to you a lot.
But I don't even want to compare this to a book because
Me neither, because I don't remember the book.
It doesn't matter also because this is a terrible movie.
It's a very fucking poorly made movie.
You got fucking tiny Andrew Garfield. The whole time I'm like, is that Andrew Garfield? But he's so young. How could it be?
Yeah, how could it be? But here's the thing, Andrew Garfield might be 10. I don't know. So you got this kid, Artemis Fowl, and his dad, who's also named Artemis Fowl. Fun. Who's played by Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, what are we doing?
Colin Farrell. Here's the thing. Only good performance in the movie, and he's barely in it.
That's
Only
true.
good.
He's in it for 8 seconds.
But I want to talk about why that's more problematic than you would imagine. Because Kenneth Branagh also casted Josh Gad and Judi Dench and directed them like they tap danced into the worst fucking performances of their lives.
I wrote down Dench is like a robot corpse.
Yeah, she's just like, she's barely moving. It looks like she's on strings like Bob Barker on Prices, right? She's barely moving, dude. There's like So here's the thing. I was confused by this movie, and there was one big thing. For actually a few different things that confused me. So they're looking for this thing. What is it called? I wrote it down here. Is it called Oculus or
Oculus?
Oculus. Okay, so they got this thing, and it's called the Oculus. Sure.
That's fine.
They're all trying.
have a thing.
They're all trying to get it. That's the conflict of the movie. What is it? What the fuck actually is it?
It's an acorn that. Actually, they do explain it. It says it opens portals to other worlds.
Yeah, but that's like the last 10 minutes of the movie, and then turns out it just grants wishes once they get it. So what does it actually fucking do? What is the significance of this thing? It's one of those fucking things where it's like, it's not a MacGuffin because A, they don't fucking go anywhere to get it, but B, it actually does like save the day because they just wish for everything to be good again at the end of the movie, and everything's good again. Also, oh man, this movie, Josh Gad.
Mulch Duggums, you mean?
Mulch, he plays his character Mulch Duggums, who's a dwarf who's tall.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit, I guess.
It's arguably the only character that has any character development is Josh Gad's character, Mulch Duggums, and his character development is that he's tall and he eats dirt in his mouth and shits it out his butt.
Immediately, and you see it in this kid's movie that premiered on Disney+. Look, Disney took a good hard look at their theatrical lineup when this whole COVID-19 pandemic thing happened, and they're like, look, we got a lot of movies we're going to have to dump something on Disney+. That's just how it is. If we want to get on the VOD train, we got to dump. What's the worst thing we got? What we got Artemis Fowl there? Is that a Brana?
I bet fucking who's ever's in charge of this shit now at Disney was like, we don't even know what that is.
You know that Disney walked into Brana's office and they're like, hey, Ken, we want to talk to you. And he's like, okay. And they're like, so we've been seeing this thing where other movies are just like kind of releasing their planned theatrical stuff on VOD. And Brana went, guys, no, don't do this to me. And they're like, simply can't do it to anybody else. There's nobody else we would rather do
Bob
it to.
Chapek is the fucking man in charge over there now.
Yeah,
and Chapek was like, "What the fuck is Artemis Fowl?"
It's a different Bob, dude. It's a different Bob.
It's a new Bob.
It's a new Bob. But here's the thing about this movie that just like, and this is of no fault of Disney, but let me tell you something. With everything going on in the world right now, I don't want to see a movie about a kid who has $1 billion and his daddy issues.
You know what's interesting?
Irrelevant.
Now that nerds are cool, they always have to make their persons jocks also. Because
Yeah.
he's like surfing and shit.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And he's like super cool or whatever automatically.
This movie also has 1 million characters.
Characters.
Don't do anything.
You got the butler who like
eyes too fake.
I like the eyes actually.
Too fake.
I have trouble with the Irish accent because it's so soft.
Yeah.
So like every time they're like, his name is the butler, Mama Momo, and I'm like, Mama Mo, and they're like, no.
Yeah. And
I'm
they're
like-
like, don't call him Butler, but his name is.
It literally took me till like the third row from the bottom where I finally found out his name is Domavov or some shit.
Domavov? What the fuck?
Domavov.
Domavov. Okay, so
Domavovi.
here's what's really crazy about this movie is that we have all these actors and all these characters.
But let's not stop there. Then his niece shows up for some reason.
Does nothing. She
does nothing.
Does
then,
nothing.
Then you got a fairy that's probably important, but you almost never learn her name.
That's my biggest question because in the first half of the movie they're calling her a leprechaun, but then they're calling him a fairy.
Leprechaun is it's the name of their police department, LEP Con.
Is that why when they arrive at the beach
It's
to
like
storm
the RIP division.
It's when is that why when the leprechauns like fucking roll up to the to storm the beaches of Normandy and the door opens to the spaceship and Judi Dench is like top of the morning to ya.
Guess so.
And you're like, why?
I guess that's why.
But what's so crazy about this movie is you have these 7,000 characters and all of them are doing really stupid, fake, silly voices.
That's true, yeah.
I got so like at first I saw Josh Gad and then he started talking and he was sort of doing like his like diary thing and I'm like, oh goddamn, Josh Gad is good. And then I was like 3 minutes later I was like, I am really fucking sick of that voice.
Here's the thing about Josh Gad. No bigger company man for Disney than Josh Gad.
Loves
this guy
him,
will
dude.
fucking do anything
Frozen,
Disney puts in front of him. Will literally do any of it.
He's just trying to get in Star Wars, but they won't do it because he's too fat. He's just too fat. They're like, we'll let you be in Star Wars if you're an Artemis
Make
Fowl.
him a
He's like,
Wookiee.
yeah, you have to stand by that because I do not want to be an Artemis Fowl playing a dirt shitter. why is any of the decisions made here? And here's a big thing. Is that when because like I did my research about that, and I knew what happened with this movie, that it was supposed to come to theaters and that they had to push it on to Disney Plus and just shit it out. Then why is the CG so fucking bad in this movie? Why is it so fucking bad?
Disney doesn't care anymore.
I generally, it is very clear to me that Disney does not actually care about this movie at all. Because here's what I think happened. I think they were putting the finishing touches on this movie, and then somebody came into the editing office and they're like, "Hey, it looks like you're doing some really good work on there." And they're like, "Oh yeah, thanks." And they're like, "Yeah, so we're gonna shit this thing out on Disney Plus. So you don't got that work you're doing. You don't gotta do that."
Dude, there was a part when they were in the time bubble and all of the leprechauns were attacking, and the frame rate dropped. And I'm like,
yes, you're right, because I wrote that down too. I thought maybe it was my TV.
No.
I was like, was that really a frame rate drop to 15 FPS? It's right there on my fucking notepad. This movie goes to 15 FPS. Why? And then, like, at one point, they're like...
So, what? We haven't even talked about this yet. There's a bad guy.
Who's
called, like, Opal or something.
Yeah, he's a cloaked man.
And it steals the Colin Farrell character, but it's never revealed who it is or what it is or why it's looking for him or anything at all.
They're not going to make more of this.
The fact where it's like, I guess they're saving it for the next one, but like,
they're not making more.
It's not about anything.
Yeah, they can't make more of this. Dude, if they make more of this, I'll be shocked. That being said, that fucking other Kenneth Branagh sequel, the Nile one, was greenlit, so I don't know. Maybe they'll just let him do whatever.
I guess. I don't know.
But there's so many questions that I have about this movie, because it feels like there was another 40 minutes they had in this movie, and they're like, you know what? It's a kid's movie. Chop it down.
Yep. That's exactly what it feels like. It
Chop
feels like
it down.
There's so much missing from this.
It like straight up, like it feels like 40 minutes, because when the leprechaun starts storming the beach right in front of Artemis's house, the butler is like, I think it's time for you to put on the suit. What suit? What? Why? What's the suit do? And then he just comes out wearing a suit. Why did you put on a suit for a fucking war battle? Why did you put on a fucking suit?
Then they're fighting a troll with dreadlocks. That's problematic, in my opinion.
That is problematic. But also, the troll looks like shit. But also, this movie is just inconsistent. Because here's why. You have that scene where the troll busts into their house. They're beating the shit out of the troll. They're fighting the troll for what feels like so long, dude. It's the whole climax.
Not a very long movie either.
Yeah, it's like 25 minutes, or at least it feels like it is. And they're fighting this troll, and he fucks up the entire house. And then in the next scene, the house is back to normal. But in the scene,
fair shit, dude.
But then in the next scene, broken again.
Fucked up again.
Broken again. Did you watch it, Disney, before you dumped it here?
Well, and then, like, at the end, like, they're like, we got to get the father back, and then the fairy touches the fucking acorn thing, and then he's just back, and then everybody's like, she goes back to back to the city, and they're all clapping for her, and they're like, clap, 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 you did something.
But you didn't.
We don't know what you did. We don't know what you did.
There's
and
also...
Then, no,
go ahead.
There's a part where Artemis Fowl looks into the fucking camera. Here, I'll do it on set right now. He looks into the camera, and he's like, This all worked out for me because I'm a criminal mastermind. And I'm like, no, you're not. I don't know what you mean.
I had that thought too. I'm like, you have not committed a crime.
Haven't done any crimes yet?
You haven't done any crime. But there's a line that line pisses me off. But there is one line in this movie that makes me like just like really confused. And I need to know, because you're a scientist, I need to know if this is really how this works. Mm-hmm. So the bad guy is like bringing in the troll to Artemis Fowl's house, and Judi Dench is like, no, because she's a bad guy. But then all of a sudden, she's your mom. He's bringing in the troll, and he's like, we're gonna give him a taste of this troll. And they're like, the leprechaun in there already beat the troll, so no big deal. And he's like, don't worry about that. We gave it shit that it's allergic to make it stronger.
Oh, yeah, I wrote that down. They said,
what?
They said we pumped it full of wasp jizz.
Yeah, but they're like, he's allergic to it, so it makes him stronger. In what universe is that how it works?
I don't think they said stronger.
Yes, they did.
They said matter,
They said both. I wrote it down.
Matter and stronger.
Stronger and matter.
No.
That can't be how it works.
He wouldn't be able to breathe.
Really, really confused. Then there's this guy who in the movie has like 8 lines, and he's barely in there, but he's like some kind of like shitty leprechaun cop guy. Yeah. And suddenly he's the main villain.
Pro cop movie, you mean?
Yeah. Suddenly he's the main villain. He's just like, he turns around and he's like, hey, Judi Dench, I'm in charge now. And she's like, uh-oh. And he's like, I'm the bad guy now.
Yeah.
Disney. What the hell is this?
It's not even, to me, that's not even a movie.
Yeah, it's really bad. And then when the tornado hits or whatever, or the time fucking warp or whatever the fuck happens, there's a fully CG person on a fishing boat. Fully CG. Unfucking believable.
Well, let's not even worry about that.
Yeah. And here's what's so crazy. We haven't really described what this movie is about because it's not what we're talking
anything.
about. It's not
Really
about
not about. We have described it. He's in his house and he finds some shit.
Okay, so at one point in the movie, Artemis Fowl captures and imprisons a fairy, and then he's like they're like fighting the whole movie. She's like, let me out. He's like, no, I'm not gonna let you out. I'm wearing magic sunglasses like in the movie Big Daddy.
Don't worry, I'm never gonna explain why they're magic though.
Yeah, I'm never gonna explain why they're magic, but it's on the cover and it's like in Big Daddy, the film Big Daddy. And so he's like, can I trust you? And she's like, yes. And then he opens the gate and they're friends. And I'm like, what? Why?
That's right.
Why are you friends? Why are you friends? And like at the end of the movie, she's like, I'll never forget the friends I've made. And it's like, when did you make friends? I don't remember this happening. Did I fall asleep? Did I sleep through 40 minutes of this? I feel like I watched 60 minutes, fell asleep, woke up, and watched the last 30 minutes.
Nah, you got it all, I think.
I think I did. This is worse than Scoob.
It's the most incredulous piece of shit I've ever seen.
It's really fucking bad. This is a half star.
Legendary half star.
It's a half star. It's
legendary rating for a legendary movie.
Kenneth Branagh directed Hamlet.
Yeah, he's on his Shakespeare shit.
I can't believe that Kenneth Branagh was like, all right, I've made these Shakespeare movies. The fuck? Oh, I thought that was like a siren.
No, don't worry about that.
We're
so close to the end, and now you're getting distracted.
He's got like these Shakespeare books, and he's like, yeah, I made these movies. These are pretty good, but you know what's just as good as Shakespeare? Artemis Fowl.
Artemis Fowl.
Artemis
or
Fowl.
Also me with a big mustache.
Me with a big a comically huge mustache.
Really big mustache. Johnny Depp is there.
Johnny Depp is there. He's,
probably Josh Gad.
Josh Gad, who's in everything. I just like the centaur feet is like, that's where I check
Foley,
out.
the centaur, you mean?
They barely show his feet because the CGI is so bad. They're trying to keep the camera on his upper body. Sometimes I'm pretty confident that they just straight up didn't do the CG and it's just a guy.
Filmed a guy and they're like,
yeah, don't see his lower half. It might be a horse. Who knows?
Nobody's gonna see that.
Incredulous, dude. Incredulous. Hey, Podcast Bot 8000. Hey, Buck.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
It's a good day. Do you know why it's a good day?
Why is it a good day, Podcast Bot 5000, 8000?
Because next week, the good listeners of the Movie Epidemic podcast shan't be getting one episode of the podcast.
Oh, no? How many?
Oh, they'll be getting 5 episodes of the podcast sprinkled throughout the week.
Oh, I don't like that.
I
don't like the sound of that.
Do you know why they'll be getting 5 podcasts?
No, I do not.
Because this week, starting on June 22nd, or June, whatever the Monday is tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Sunday, it's the first day of Calgary Underground Film Festival online.
Ah, I see. Online.
So the boys are watching. Are you guys ready for it? 20 films.
20?
20 films.
God damn it.
In a week. They're not. The only one they're missing from Cuff is that Crazy World thing because it was on YouTube already.
Yeah, and I'm not going to review that.
But they're going to be seeing every other film at Cuff Calgary Underground Film Festival this year.
I'm glad they got an hour and a half episode today so that they can save that up for the next 5 episodes.
So on the next 5 episodes of the Movie Epidemic podcast, the boys will be talking about the following films. A Dog's Death, which I'm sure reminds Shadley of Work, where he kills dogs. Yep. Big Fur, Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets, Climate of the Hunter, not Crazy World, Dead Dicks, Dinner in America, $5 at the Door, Homewrecker, House of Carden, I Blame Society, I Used to Go Here, My Name is Clitoris, Narrowsburg, Nobody, Random Acts of Violence, skip that shit because we're not going to be seeing any of the short stuff, Sleaze Lake, Synchronic, This Film Should Not Exist, Uncle Peckerhead, We Are Little Zombies, and Yummy.
It's a lot.
Quite a lineup.
That's a lot.
Quite a lineup, boys. Thank you, Podcast Bot 8000. Yeah, so that is what we're doing. Calgary Underground Film Festival is a big deal for us. It's our favorite. Calgary International Film Festival is fun too, but I usually don't go
Oh,
to
we
that.
just got that follow though, so
Oh yeah, that's
Good
right.
for them.
They followed
Good
us
for
on
them.
Twitter. That means that they're going to give us free tickets this year, probably.
don't say that on the pod.
It's okay. It's 90 minutes in. They haven't listened this far.
That's probably true.
90 minutes in. Stay tuned for that. I'm not going to say when the first episode's dropping, but
Talk about our Patreon really quick.
maybe a little bit later.
Really quick as you can.
Check out patreon.com/movie epidemic. For $2, you get an extra podcast every single week where we review a specialty film, including this week's upcoming film where we are reviewing Mad Max 3 Beyond the Thunderdome. If you
Chadley's
heard,
favorite.
Yeah, my absolute favorite, maybe favorite film of all time. If you pay $3, you'll also get an episode based on Star Trek episode or movie every Friday as well. $3, you get 8 extra podcasts per month. It's totally worth it, and we really want your money. So definitely sign up for that Patreon. We'll shout you out on the show as well, and who knows what else we'll give you. Maybe
Shout
we'll
out
give
to
you some
Dunzo
fun.
Donalds.
Shout out to Dunzo Donalds, who's the only member of our Patreon. Check it out. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all at Movie Epidemic. Just check it out.